So, listen, we spoke almost a month ago. We were sitting in the same room. Now we're not. We're obeying the physical distancing.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been 4 weeks. What has changed in admissions over the last 4 weeks? I've listened to some phone calls. I'd like to start sharing with you what kind of some of my observations have been, and you can clean it up, and then you can talk about what you've been finding, and share the insight. So if you wouldn't mind, Rob, I'll start.
I would love it.
Okay, so I've listened to many phone calls, and probably about 50% of the schools, their messaging service comes on, and only about 50% have actually updated it. Their 50% say, hey, due to COVID-19, here's what's going on in the school. Basically, we're still open for business. We're doing tours. Get a hold of us. 50% right away come on and say, thanks for calling so-and-so school. To book in our student salon services, press 1. And it's like, oh, geez, like they're way behind.
Yeah.
What I have also found, here's another observation, is the schools that have been taking this seriously as far as updating their website, they've updated their answering service, they've updated their ads. There's a correlation that their admissions people are a little bit better at answering the phone calls right now, because the reality of what I'm seeing is admissions people aren't answering the phone. Their phone calls are coming in. Now, is this not new though?
So, okay, wait, let me, two things. First of all, we know that form fill-outs are going to be greater. So everybody over there going, yeah, but come on, you guys, we all get form fill-outs. I know. So stop. That's not a revelation. Also, this is not a new behavior for schools. Schools miss phone calls. I will tell you right now, when I have a new school come on, we usually secret shop, right? So when we start training with the school, we'll secret shop, and we'll make some phone calls in. It takes us on average 4 calls to get a hold of an admissions person, which blows my mind. But now that I know we have less staff, so we don't even have the front person answering, I'm going to tell you right now, that's happening. And someone just said, I have my office go directly, and I can't. Wait, what did read that?
Yeah, I had my office phone go directly to my cell phone.
Yeah. So that's great. Here's the problem though. If you have it forwarded directly to your cell phone and you're the admissions person, so you're already on calls, which I want to talk about a little bit later in this, how many phone calls admissions people should be making during this whole deal. But you should be already on the phone. So if it's hitting your phone and you're already on the phone, no wonder you're missing it, right? So you really need a secondary person to be receiving the calls, getting information, so it'll allow you to call people back. Because I'm talking to all these schools, and they're all saying, yeah, we're not getting any calls. And I'm like, you just don't know. Over and over. I know it's happening.
Okay, so we're actually in the building, answering calls, enrolling students, conducting virtual tours, etc. It's been great.
Yes! Woo! You didn't see that coming, did you? All right.
So that's how it should be, right? I mean, like, I think this goes even before the pandemic, is when you have somebody dialing an admissions line, should it go to an answering service or an auto response, message that says, for admissions, press 1.
No.
On services, press 2.
It should not. It should go to a front person. It should go to your service person that answers the phones to schedule appointments, or if someone calls for a haircut. It's that same person should be answering that and then getting it back to admissions. By the way, if you struggled with the way that your phone interacted with the public before this whole thing, you're now an enhanced version of that, right? But that really is the case. And it's not to say that you're a bad person. It is to say that this just is enhancing existing problems. So it's good in some level. It's good because we go, okay, well, we need to be fixing this. So people are calling, people are texting, people are sending emails. That's informed fill outs. All of those things are happening. You have to make sure the program is in place, because you're just going to be a worse a version of yourself, and your school is going to really be hurting 2 months from now. Don't let that happen. You've got to what you should be doing, honestly, is every 3 days, you should be secret shopping yourself if you're not the one answering. If you're an owner right now, you should be calling in to make sure that you can get through. Phone lines go down. Phones forwarding to other phone numbers go down. That stops. Systems are overloaded right now. Everybody's sitting home watching Tiger King and overloading the internet, right? So that your VoIP systems are going down. You should be checking that every 3 days. And if you're not, you just have to realize, again, you're just kicking away or spitting away a lot of business.
So you can't expect what you don't inspect, is what you're saying.
Ooh.
So here's some good news, right? We're getting comments. Love the comments. Keep them coming in. People are calling. They're texting. They're doing virtual tours. That's good news.
Absolutely.
We know of schools that aren't doing anything though. Right? So here's what let me share this. So yesterday, if you missed our webinar yesterday from Stephanie, it was all about like how to update your website to right now, because now, I mean, you really want that traffic to convert into a lead, because leads are down 50% at least. Search volume is starting to come back though. Things are starting to come back, which is good. So we need to be prepared, right? We need to have admissions people on the phone, probably not just one. If it is one person, probably 2 phones. While they're dialing with one phone, the other one, if it rings, that's precedent. We pick up that call. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I've also, let me think. So I've listened to phone calls, and I know you have too. People are asking, they're seeing a little bit of information on a website saying, you know, they can start doing online classes. Mm-hmm. How do we get, from what I've heard, when people are bringing that up on the phone, they're excited about it. Half of them are, and the other half are a little, you know, trepidatious about it. They don't know much about it. You can tell in their voice that they're not sure about it. Now, I'm not an admissions expert, but if I'm in admissions and I have somebody on the phone and I'm talking about enrolling them into online distance learning, how do I get them excited about it?
Well, first of all, let's look at the problem, right? How big is the problem? That's a question we should always ask ourselves. Managers, directors, owners, when someone brings a problem to you, the first thing you should ask is how big is the problem, right? And how urgent is it? And I will say that particular problem is not as urgent as maybe another one that's related. In other words, how many people are frustrated about the idea that maybe they're going to have to be doing online learning through theory? I don't know how many people are actually worried about that. It's a small percentage. What I have experienced is a lot of people unwilling to do a video representation of themselves, right? So to do a virtual tour and for you to actually be able to see them. I am hearing back from folks that frustration exists, right? And so in fact, we're getting the concern right now saying, well, let me finish that thought. So we do need to be cognizant of that. Let me just talk about the 3 things that I know that are happening. People or let me rephrase that. What I know is that when you do the virtual tour, the most ideal way is to have you be able to see them and them be able to see you. Well, if that can't happen, they won't let you see them, then say, no problem, I'll just go ahead and make it sure you can see me and you can see my screen, you can see my face, my video, blah, 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 right? If that can't happen, then yeah, you're going to have to do audio. But that all comes down to how are you approaching it, right? You can't be telling people, so would you like to do this on the phone, or would you like to do a Zoom call where you can see me? Don't give them the option. Make the decision for them. And if they're adults, they can make the decision out of that. But you really need to analyze how it's being approached so that when there's this high failure rate, it's not your fault. It's theirs. If they're not going to do it, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, what I've seen is some schools have pre-recorded, like there's nobody in school. So their admissions rep is on a camera. They're doing a tour, a virtual tour, just a pre-recorded virtual tour.
What I said to do in the last one of these.
Yeah. Now, what I have heard is admissions reps are just defaulting to that, right? They get somebody on the phone. They say, "Oh, did you watch the virtual tour?" Oh, okay. They're not giving them the option to say, "Well, hey, let me take. I'm in the school right now. Let me take you on one." Because in the comments here, people are in the school. They're in different offices. They're wearing masks, so forth, being safe. That's good. But I mean, if you are at home, and I mean, at the very least, if you've done that, that's good, right? But I would think it would be good to just default to that. Hey, did you watch a video? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and by the way, those videos, and someone just asked, can you expand on how to utilize the virtual tour? And I will answer that. Here's the deal, though. What you can't do is just send them the video of you doing the virtual tour. You just killed all the interaction, which means you killed the relationship, which means you lessen the chance of enrollment. You have to realize that people are buying based on the relationship. The old days of just pushing people into sales because you want it, that's sneaky, oily, sales, dirty, white ponytail guy tricks, right? And get that guy out of here. That is not the way you do it. The way you have to do it is you connect with people. You cannot connect with them just via an email saying, hey, here's a tour, and then call them after and say, hey, how did you like the tour? And trying to connect there. You need to be doing the tour live. So to answer your question, how can you expand on how to utilize the virtual tour? I'm going to tell you that you should have a video recording of each and every one of the stops. Right? So if you have 12 stops on your tour, you should have video representation of that. And you should not be talking in the actual video. The video, you should just show the information, and then you should be talking live to them and explaining what they're seeing. And then you should be asking them a question on everything that they see. You got to realize that, again, I know I mentioned this last time, but you thought that their ability to focus, right? Their attention span was small when they were in the school. They're now sitting in their jammies at home, and you're expecting them to have a 45-minute attention span. That's not going to happen. The only way to make that happen, or to increase the ability to focus, is for you to be interacting with them through the tour. Because you got to realize, let's say there's 12 stops, they only care about 4 of them. The others, they were like, I don't care about this. Just like everything I'm saying right now, you care about 10% of it if I'm lucky. And so I have to be able, you got to try to cut out the things that they don't, and you got to be interacting with them. So please, the virtual tour is great. We know a lot of people are doing PowerPoints. Great. PowerPoints are inherently boring, though. So if you're doing a PowerPoint, you've got to make sure that you've got something interesting in it, and you got to be asking questions. You got to be having them interact the whole time. You can't be doing what I'm doing right now, which is just monologuing, right? I mean, it's a big no-no.
So you got to be, basically what you're saying is you need to get them talking about what they're excited about. You need to be creating a connection. I mean, all of that stuff is still true, even more so right now because it's virtual. You're not with them. And it looks like people are using FaceTime, people are using Zoom. We mentioned on the last call that, like, hey, use whatever they're most comfortable with, but be prepared, right? Like, know how to use FaceTime, know how to use Zoom or Google Hangouts.
You're going to have to do that.
Yeah, be prepared.
And directors, that is your job. Directors, owners that are listening to this, that's your job to make sure that your admissions people know how to do that. You need to be dry running through each of those options. That needs to be happening, right? So also, but going back to how we started this at post Tiger King conversation, if you were doing bad tours now, this is an enhanced version of your bad tour. Because I'm going to tell you right now, when I go out to schools, and I apologize for speaking so fast. I know how everybody's attention span, they've got a lot to do, so I'm trying to squeeze a lot in here. So forgive me for speaking fast. But I'm going to tell you that when I go out to schools right now, I watch them go on tours. They don't ask any questions. They get to the end, maybe every other stop, and they say something like, so do you have any questions? That is a stupid question. I'm just look you in the camera and go, that is a stupid question. Do you have any questions? That's like the Walmart guy when you go to check out and he goes, did you find everything okay? You're like, you're an idiot. I couldn't find the deodorant. I looked for 6 minutes. Are you going to leave your station and come help me find it? That's a stupid question. Why don't I ask something a little more sincere, right? So if you want examples of those questions, message me, text me, 801-979-0071. I'm happy to answer those questions. Say, hey, here's some of the questions we give. Also, one of the things that I suggest, and we're doing with my clients, some of my clients, is we're creating maps of the school, right? We were actually doing this before we did that, before we were ever quarantined. I was telling people, create maps, have the people select the locations on the map that they're most excited about, and then take them to those places and talk about those things. Why are we giving a 45-minute tour when they only care, which we should be, and they only care about 10 minutes of it? Let's maximize those stops.
Okay, so what you're saying there is, you tell us what you're interested in. Basically, hey, what parts of the school are you really interested in learning about? And let's go to those, because I'm just thinking, like, if I was an admissions person, they circle the, I don't know, whatever part of the school, the floor. They really want to see the floor.
Yeah.
Well, when you get there, you say, hey, I saw that this was like the first stop that you wanted to make. What is it about the floor that you're really interested in or you're excited about? I mean, I'm guessing you're getting information or ammo from them so that you can dig into it and create good connections. Is that the strategy there?
Yeah, and on the maps, actually, we have buzzwords. We call them red words. We have red words that describe the locations, and we have them. And as they're circling, we validate what they're saying. Oh, that's cool. You're interested in color. That's amazing. All right, let's talk about that in a minute. All right, what else? We have them circle, 2-3 spots. And again, I'm giving away some of the secrets, the special sauce here. But look, again, you have to become a better version of yourself now, not an enhanced version, worse version. And so if you're doing these virtual tours, make it interesting, create texture, create value for people, make it entertaining, have fun with them, talk about the Tiger King for 1 minute, get scolded after on the third, and then move on. Right. So this is the way to create value in your virtual tours. Stop giving boring tours. It's just awful.
Okay. So we're on a virtual tour.
Yeah.
We're on a call, whether it's a tour or a call, we have somebody on the phone or FaceTime. What are our goals? Are our goals different from before? What commitments do we want to get before the call ends?
Good question. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have an answer that is a one size universal answer, one size fits all, because I don't own a school. Admittedly, full transparency, I don't own a school, and so I have to rely on what everybody's telling me. And there are some schools saying we can't enroll, and then other schools saying we can enroll, and others saying, well, we can't take money, and others saying we can't. No one is clear. And again, owners, directors, it is your job to be clarifying this information, because I'm going to tell you there are schools enrolling, and they are enrolling into distance learning. That is happening. Now, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm saying it is happening. And you can be pissed about it, and you can step back and go, well, we can't do that. There are people doing it. What I'm telling you is you better dang well make sure that you understand the law so that you're not missing out. Because if it is okay, which I'm not saying it is or it isn't, because it scares me. The whole thing scares me. What I am saying is you better get good commitments from people one way or the other. So if you can't enroll, you need to be getting some sort of commitment moving forward. And you need to figure out what the max commitment you can get is out of people and go right up against the line. Because if you can't, I know I'm seeing people right here saying, hey, we can't. I just talked to someone this morning saying that they are. Not only can they, but they are. And they already have an April class up and going. So, again, all I'm going to tell you is here's what you can't do. Here's what you can't do. You can't get on the phone and get on a virtual tour and be done and say, so yeah, we'll talk to you in a month. Good luck. You're going to lose market share. Someone just said, look at this. We can in New York. We're speaking with the Board of Education, right? See, this is what we should be doing. That's what I'm saying right there. That's what we should be doing. And I can only read the first 5 words, and it goes away. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. So some people saying they can't. They can't. They can in New York, and somebody is starting 9 students on Monday. Somebody says, we're speaking with the Board of Ed and NACAS to make sure we are compliant.
Yes.
Yes.
That should be a top priority right now.
Our friend Brenda,
we love
Brenda Sharman, everybody knows and loves Brenda. She says we can and have been successful.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so let's talk really quick. Let's talk about if we can enroll them, and then if we can't. What should the virtual tour look like if we can enroll them? Well, you should be getting money and application fees, registration fees on that virtual tour. That should happen at the end of that virtual tour. And if you don't, let me tell you something. If you don't do that, you're doing a disservice to these people, because look at you. I've got 92 schools, 92 people listening to me right now, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be swimming in students in the next 60 days is the guess. I could be totally wrong. You can make fun of me, 2 months from now and go, Rob, you said. I'm going to have all the indications at this moment indicate that we are going to be swimming in students. You are doing a disservice to a student who's excited about it, and you don't ask them to buy, because they're going to try to come back in when you open back up, and there's going to be a flood of students, and they're going to get booted. It's going to be like the PPP program. You owners know what I'm talking about. The government just say, oh yeah, well, there's all this money, and then it runs out, and then you're waiting. It's the same thing. These people are going to be waiting to get in, and it's going to be your fault, and because you're going to, well, we didn't want to push them. We didn't want. Shut up. they're sitting home and they hate their job. They're sitting there going, man, I'm laid off. Your job is to get them into that school and enroll them. So I'm going to tell you right now, again, you better, if you can do it, you better be getting application fees. You better be getting some sort of, get them skin in the game and move them forward. All right. Now what if, okay, go ahead. I was going to answer the other way.
Well, I was going to say, like, if you get a commitment from them, like, I would imagine you're giving them some sort of like hope, right? They're at home.
Yep.
They're nervous. They're not doing anything. If you get a commitment from them, like an application fee or something, if you're getting the process started, you're getting them excited about life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need right now.
Yep.
And they need to be able to, I would imagine, feel that from whoever they're talking to, just positivity and the same level of excitement starting your career, whether you're starting online and making that exciting because they're at home. I listened to a phone call and this gal was calling for an aesthetics, and she's like, and maybe this is just true for aesthetics all the way around, because they're a little bit different kind of student. She's like, look, I'm at home. I want to be productive. I want to start right now.
Yeah.
And on that call, it was, okay, well, you can tell that the admissions rep was a little busy. She's like, okay, well, let's get the process started. Can we set up a call for Friday? And this was a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I would imagine you want to get started right then, getting commitments, getting information, getting the process going. So anyways, I just wanted to share that.
I like that. I'm looking at, first of all, the power of positivity, it can't be oversold. So if your admissions people are home and they're sort of like, oh, or you're an admission person listening right now and they're like, oh, stop it. It's just a downward cycle. Find 5 things you're grateful for, write them down, look at them every time you get on a phone call. For heaven's sakes, I understand that this idea, you get cooped up, go for a little walk, come back, feel excited and be positive. Get people's like, look, the old us is gone, right? So it's the way that we used to do things. We got to stop looking backwards and be like, yeah, but it used to be, shut up. Who cares? Move on, move forward, look forward. And the way that we look forward is we say, this is a new way of doing things. Online learning, we've got the industry has evolved and it's improved because of COVID. Okay. So think about it that way. If nothing else, think about it that way. This fear of that things can't ever go back to the same way. We don't want to go back to the same way. We want to move forward and do things the new way, and it's going to be better. So put that in your jaw and chew on it for a little bit and make yourself a little bit happier.
Okay.
The whining.
I would feel happier if you stopped saying shut up so much.
Shut up.
Okay. There we go.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, we got to address what do you do if you can't sign up, enroll? Because I think people are asking it.
Okay.
If you can enroll, what should you do? Honestly, the first thing that you should do is put your time aside to make sure that that is actually the case. That's the first thing that you should do. The second, until you make sure that you can't enroll, what you should be doing on these tours is finding out people's level of commitment, right? Giving them a great tour, finding out their level of commitment, and setting appointments to be speaking with them regularly, sending them things regularly, and then giving them a plan, right? They need a plan. They need a map. When I say map, I'm talking about a virtual map of, okay, first we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. Here are the dates. You can't leave anything to this nebulous gray area of I'm not sure what's going to happen. You've got to say, here's our plan. We're planning on opening up at this time. That could change, that kind of thing, and make it very clear as to what that you need from them. Get them to get you things. Get them to get you their high school diplomas. Get them to get you all of that information. Okay, so maybe you can't enroll them, but you can sure get all these things from them. And you should have the 3 W's. We talk about this in training. The 3 W's on every single phone call and tour. There are 3 W's. What you expect them to do, and I'm talking specifics, not nebulous. Well, yeah, I mean, try to get us the things that are on our website. Oh, I almost said shut up again.
Oh,
I didn't. I fixed it.
Actually, we have a comment saying they appreciate you saying shut up.
I bet it's someone that I love. And if I don't, I should love them. Yes, I'll stop, but I will. Okay, so that's the first
3 W's.
The second W is when you need it done by. A specific date and a time. So if they're supposed to be getting you a dropping off their high school diploma, or emailing it to you or faxing it to you if you're in 1985 and you're Marty McFly. They're going to fax it to you, whatever. But you should have a date and a time that that's going to happen. We're always so surprised when people don't fulfill their commitments, but you actually didn't make a clear commitment. There wasn't a date and time behind that commitment. So that's the second W. And then the third W is you look them in the eye over the video virtual tour, and if you can't see them, it should be a very serious tone, and ask them, okay, so will you do that by April 17th? By 3 o'clock, right? So that's what we would do. Those are the three W's you should be doing on every single time. If you can't enroll them, fine, but you should be getting commitments and having them fulfill things. They need. I'm going to tell you right now, people are sitting home and they don't have any sense of fulfillment, right? They don't feel fulfilled. How do you get them to feel fulfilled? Well, you ask them to do things and get them to accomplish things. And when they accomplish things, they get a little endorphin rush. And they're like, oh, that felt good. And then we get them to give them more things. Instead, we're sitting there going, yeah, well, we'll call you in a week. Oh, no. We're going to set up commitments, set up a plan, move forward. All right.
Okay. So
3 W's. Someone just asked 3 W's.
Real quick.
What specifically, when specifically, and look them in the eye and say, will you do that? Those are the 3 W's.
Okay. What are you seeing on your end, Rob? I've listened to phone calls. You have. What are some other helpful things for admissions right now?
Okay, so there are 3 things. Well, there's more than that, but I'm going to give you one that's really big because I keep hearing it. And this is Christy Baker from East Coast School. I'm going to tell you, I just loved what she said, and I'd heard it before. And it is this: you should start out when you're calling people and they're in this bad mood because they're in a funk, because they're sitting in their jammies and they haven't changed in 3 days, wearing the same underwear, which I knew I'd get a laugh out of him when I said that, and people are like, yeah, it's true.
I'm like, when was the last time I changed my underwear?
Yeah, I don't remember that. I haven't been out of the house. I only changed my underwear when I got out of the house. So they're sitting home, they're in this funk, and so when you call them, they're in a bad mood. By the way, interesting little fact, we're seeing improvements in number of phone calls. If you make 10 phone calls, it used to be that 1.5 or 2 would answer out of 10 on a good day. Now we're seeing 5 and 6 out of 10 answer. So more people are answering, right?
You're telling me they're so bored that they'll actually answer a call from admissions. They don't recognize the number. They're like, I just want to talk to somebody.
Anybody. But that's the thing, is then they do answer the phone and they're rude. So how do you get them to be not rude, right? It's because they're in a funk. They're sitting in the same underwear. So the way that you do that is, and I love that this was advice from, again, a couple of others, and I just loved it, is you acknowledge right out of the gate the humanity that is happening, right? That this idea that, oh, hey, are you guys okay? Are you safe? Are you healthy? And that seems to melt away this like sort of funk, and they're like, oh yeah, let me tell you about it. And they unload on you, right? Especially if they're sitting home alone, or they just have their cats. I mean, right? So they sort of feel like, oh, this person understands, and that melts away, and we now can start to connect. So you should be opening your phone calls with this. Hey, how you feeling? Are you okay? Is everybody safe? Everybody healthy? How you feeling? That seems to really open up. So that was a great tip. Again, came from a couple of folks, and I just loved it.
Well, I like doing that in the beginning because the calls I listened to, that was like right at the end. It was like, hey, okay, great talking to you. Stay healthy. And then when they said that, the person was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Yes, you too. And you can tell that there was a different connection there.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're saying do that at the beginning.
Yes, doing it right at the beginning and make it as sincere as possible. Please don't use this as a line that you use to manipulate people. If you're doing that, you're doing human wrong. You got to stop it. Like, just stop it. Be a real person. Be really concerned.
So I mean, people can sense flattery over the phone. They can sense sincerity. And so you're saying do that. Okay. So that's good. That's good.
Okay. Oh, by the way, in terms of sincerity, I have to drop this too. When you look at the personality types that are applying for to come to school, right? That are personality types that are in our industry. Here's what we know: they are blue personalities. We call them blue personalities. They actually sense insincerity quicker than all of the other personality types, and they hold grudges longer too. So if you try to approach them with some insincere, stupid one-liners, you can make dumb jokes and have it fine. I don't care. I'm talking about when you're actually talking about something real human. When you do that, you have to understand that it better be sincere. They will sniff it out. They will sniff you out, and you will become the enemy. And they don't forgive quickly. Blues don't forgive quickly. So if you've been through my training, you know this. I'm going to tell you, stop it right now. Be the best you. Be genuine. If you have concerns and stuff, like maybe share just a little bit of it, but be positive and be fun. Be your best version. Okay.
Well, real quick on that. So I was listening to calls, and one admissions person right in the beginning said, hey, just so you know, I'm at home. I have dogs. You might hear them. I just want to apologize. And then someone's like, oh, I know how it is. I've got kids. They're trying to knock on my door, and boom, there was a connection there. So, okay, good. Let's go.
I love that people there when we go through and we tell people that like they're calling from home, they're like, well, how do I do this when I'm calling from home? What did you think that the lead thought you were in a tuxedo, that you were in an evening gown? Come on, they know you're at home. That's what everybody's at home right now. Stop worrying about that. All right. I almost said shut up again, but I didn't. All right. Okay. So also let me just look at my notes here because I want to make sure to mention a couple of things. The next thing, let's see. Oh, directors, owners, listen to me. Stop feeding your admissions people so many meetings. They need to not be. I know I'm saying this as they're sitting in a meeting right now. Your admission, right? I'm guilty. But I'm going to tell you right now, stop making them go to unnecessary meetings. If you want them to be productive, make them free them up. They need to be in. There are a lot of meetings that they need to be in. I get it. But make sure that do your best to keep them doing the things that are going to keep the school open and everybody employed, which is speaking to people. Which brings me to my next point. We talked about this before, and I'm going to tell you right now, please, oh please, admissions people, be productive. How many calls? Here's a question I get a lot. How many calls should I be making a day? Well, normally we say 60. Okay, if you're saying that you don't have very many tours, if you're doing 1 or 2 tours a day, you can make 60 phone calls. Is 60 phone calls during this time possible? I'm going to tell you, I don't think that it is because we have more people answering. Our average call length went up, which means you can only fit so many in an 8 or 10 hour day. And so I'm going to say you should be making. I spoke to an admissions rep yesterday. She said she made 30. She got up to go to the bathroom. She didn't even take a lunch. She just wanted to see how many she could burn through. I wanted to hug her for saying that, but my wife's going to. She don't stop hugging admissions people. Okay, fine. But I'm going to tell you right now. I just loved her for that. I was like, 30. She just killed at 30, but she had a lot of people answer. She created a lot of stirred the water, right? And all of a sudden we got these leads that we're working through. So you need to manage your time. Directors, owners, sit down with your admissions people, help them manage their time. Set goals for how many calls, how many outbound calls we make. You need to value things differently, right? You need to look at your admissions people as they're sitting home. You need to look at them. First of all, you need to value them because they are the most important. They are more important than you right now, owners, directors. Your admissions people are the most important person right now on your staff. And so what you have to do is help them to use their time effectively. So what you should do is attach values. We're going to create a game over this next week. We're going to create it. We're shooting for a game that will give a point system for different things that these admissions people should be doing. So an outbound phone call to a form follow-up, that's probably worth the most amount of points aside from a tour. A tour is the most valued thing that we can be doing, right? So if we look at this, we have to be valuing each and everything that they're doing. And so that they're not doing stupid things and thinking that they're being effective. That's your fault, not theirs. Unless you tell them not to and they keep doing it, then it's their fault. It's on them. But seriously, sit down with them and say, let's value out your time. What's the most effective thing we should be doing? And then set goals for those things. That's how to manage it. That's how to get through this. That's how to make sure they're using their time effectively. Okay. And again, my goal is to get that done. We'll see if that even happens. Okay. Last thing is we need to be making sure. Oh, by the way, our demo's changed. Our demo has changed. Our demographic is different now than it was at the beginning of this. We used to see early 20s. I'm speaking to a lot of the schools, and people are in their early to early 30s now. So we used to get a lot more high schoolers calling us and early 20s, and now we're seeing a lot. It's an increased number of people that are in their 30s. I would love to see comments about that and see if we're crazy. Anyway, that's interesting. That's changed. Anyway, so last thing I would say is start doing things deliberately, you guys. When you get on the phone, you need to make a plan. What should I be doing at the end of every phone call? What does my tour look like? What are my objectives? What am I trying to get across? The number one objective that you have is to build a relationship with the person on the other end. That's the number one thing. All other things go aside, even above and beyond enrolling them. Build the relationship, because out of the relationship, they then buy or don't buy because it's not a right fit for them. Okay, fine. It's very few and far between, but that happens. That's the number one objective. And then again, figure out what, getting application fees, get them into the queue so you don't hose them 2 months from now and they don't start till fall and they're mad at you. All right. Sorry, Chris, I'm turning back to you. I'm talking too much.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is let's open it up right now to all of our attendees. Post a question and we'll see how Rob responds.
Oh yeah. I can't see him.
But we did ask, you wanted validation on, are we seeing an older demographic as far as the lead? Can
I
we
would
get
love
some
to.
validation? Can anybody comment on that? Are you seeing older demographics? Also, it seemed like a lot of the phone calls I was listening to, people were calling mostly about the nail program. And I know that like even before the pandemic, that was pretty popular if you offered a nail program because it's the cheapest and quickest program.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get a lot of inquiries there. Somebody had a question on aesthetics.
Mhm.
Are people concerned about going into aesthetics because it's the close contact, the skin? Um, so we're getting feedback here. So they're confirming, saying yes, older people. We're seeing mostly
Career
career
change.
changes,
Yep.
older demographics,
Yep.
seeing lots of late 20s, early 30s,
Yep.
lots of seniors, but yes, getting more and more career changers. So that's good validation here. And so, I mean, even for this call, like this is a community of admissions people. Let's share helpful insights. We're here for each other. We want everybody to be successful. Let's say aesthetics has been much younger. Cause has been late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing. I haven't made that correlation on the aesthetics, but the cause, that's interesting.
But somebody is commenting, they are enrolling a lot of aesthetic students. So people are still interested in aesthetics. I mean, we know over the last couple of years, even more than 2 years, that aesthetics has been the popular program because there's so many side hustles with it, right? That's a perfect side hustle. You can do a lot of things on your own, making extra money. It's probably a little less expensive than the cause program. Lots of interest in aesthetics. I mean, you have lashes and brows and all of this stuff that makes it very appealing. So it's good to hear that there's still a lot of interest there. So we have some questions coming in. So what if you're in admissions, but you have to not do the tools given to proceed with enrollment online? What if you're in admissions, but you do not have the tools given to proceed with enrollment online?
Yeah.
So basically, like you can't
I can't
enroll
enroll.
online. So you're talking about what other commitments can you get? You talked about, hey, have them gather their diploma and these other things, like get them to do commitments. And going back to the 3 Ws.
Ask them to do things, make sure they give them things to do. You're basically playing fetch with them. You're throwing the ball out and they're going to get it and they bring it back and you give them a treat. And I don't want to, it shouldn't sound condescending, but you see what I'm saying. I had a question here. Which areas of beauty will thrive post-COVID? Will people be spooked about aesthetics now due to such close skin contact? I'm going to tell you, I don't anticipate that. There is going to be a transitional period. And then eventually all of this is there will be a certain point, it just goes away. Because we're going, now, I will say that I'm probably more on the side of like we need to be opening up sooner because I need everybody needs these businesses. These people work so hard to keep their businesses in business, and so we do need to be opening up. But eventually, it will taper off. And will it take a cure for it to be fully back? Yes, but there's going to be also good things that come out of it. Like we were saying earlier, we're already seeing some of the good things come out of this. People adapt. Americans adapt. This country, the people, and they just adapt. They make things better. They look at a problem and go, okay, how do I fix this? I predicted on March 31st. I put it on Facebook. If you aren't friends with me on Facebook, I put it on Facebook that I thought that there would be improvements in face masks, right? That this would evolve, and it is already evolving. It being able to make it cheaper, make it more efficient. So to go back to this question, yes, we're going to be fine. The industry is going to be fine. It will all sustain. We will come up with technology and ways to get around anybody's concerns, and then it will grow past where we were. So you can't look back and go, I want the old way, because the new way is going to be better, whatever the new way is, right? You just have to wait for it. Or be the new way.
Okay. So for all of our guests, what are you finding that's maybe some information we haven't shared on this? What are you finding that's working? Whether it's you just being motivated and being positive, or on the phones, or text. I mean, we haven't talked about text. Like, are text messages getting more popular?
Interestingly enough, what I'm finding is going the other way. Right? It's so funny that it used to be the text was the best way to get a hold of people. Now I think that's a mistake to be texting first. I always said call first anyway. That was kind of my thing. But now we're seeing it even more so, right? People are more likely to answer the phone. So be careful of abusing texts because it's not more efficient. Can I tell? Yeah, It is not more. The people that are saying that texts are more efficient, you don't understand it because it's not. It's a 3-hour conversation versus 10. So it's this idea of like, I'm just going to be text. You can't build a solid relationship via text message. So stop doing it. I want you to definitely text. It's a way to get a hold of somebody, but it is not the way to build the relationship, right? So we need to be doing that.
So using text is a way to get somebody on the phone, basically, to build that relationship, get those commitments. Because what are the numbers as far as like you're scheduling tours for via text? What are the show rates?
You should never do that. We've seen a 30% reduction in show, right? And by the way, now we know, here's what we know too, for the last 4 weeks. And we guessed it, I guessed it in the beginning, and we're seeing it. I'm seeing it all across all 40 industries that I work in. I don't just work in this industry. I'm seeing it again, all these industries. The barrier to entry is lower, right? So people used to have to drive to you. Well, that increased level of commitment. So they would show up, they would make their schedule around, they were more likely to show up. Now they make a namby-pamby, oh yeah, okay, whatever, higgledy-piggledy, which any excuse to use the term higgledy-piggledy is good enough for me. So they make this appointment for tomorrow at 3:00 or today at 3:00 for a virtual tour. They don't have to leave they don't even have to change underwear. And so what are the chances of them actually keeping their appointment? I'm going to tell you right now that it is lower, right? So if you're having a bunch of no-shows, maybe you're not. I haven't gotten solid numbers on that. What I do know is that the barrier to entry is lower. So you're going to increase the likelihood that they're going to no-show. So what I would do is, if at all possible, tour them right then and there, virtual tour them when they call. Admissions people, you answer the phone, tour them right then and there if possible. If not, schedule them for a couple hours out. And we have what's called the 4-part close when I do trainings. I'm not giving you my 4-part close. You have to pay for that. You have to pay for that. It's not free. You guys are all like, you're such a jerk. But that is something that we do. We have 4-part close to get people to more likely to show up. So those are things that we need to be doing. Someone just asked another question. What was it?
So we got some questions. So how do you feel about taking a prospect from email inquiries directly into a Zoom chat versus a phone call?
I love that. That's what you should be doing. Whoever said that is brilliant, and that's exactly right. That's exactly right. But again, you have to take control over it. Be deliberate. Don't ask them, so do you want to do this right now? Say, okay, perfect. Actually, let's go ahead and you use the words, let's go ahead and tell them that you're going to get on a virtual tour, right? You just stop giving them options. You just do it. I always tell people, you think of it like when you go to the airport, right? And they tell you to take off your belt, right? And they take off your shoes, and then then they take pictures of you naked. And then if you don't pass, then they're like grabbing you, and everybody's just okay with it. This is what we do. And it's because they have a gun and a uniform. And they're very deliberate about the way they do things. They say, hey, do this. And you're like, okay. And now they're talking about, by the way, taking your blood. I don't know if you saw that on the news. They're saying, we're going to start taking blood to check your blood to see if you have it. I'm like, if that's going to happen, now you've gone too far. But they make this decision for you. Make the decision in the email that this is what we're going to do. Make them understand that this is protocol. We just do this, and then see how they respond. Okay. Don't be wimpy about it.
Okay. So we have a question here. Is any ideas on some things we can send to keep them excited while having them complete small commitments? So the first thing that came to my mind, that's a great question. Right. That's all about nurturing your leads, right? You want to continue to nurture, continue to sell. You never want to just expect that if you get a commitment from somebody that they're just going to do it. How do we continue to nurture? I know that with your clients, you've recorded videos, with students. So you've recorded the single mother. Yeah. Right. And you got her on camera, and she's telling her story saying, these are the problems that I have being a single mom, trying to go to school. Here's how the school helped me overcome them. And it's a short video. And, if you were an admissions person and you had somebody on the phone who you knew was a single mom, you could talk about that. But then when you send a follow-up email or any kind of email exchange, that was the video that was attached so that they could see it and watch it. So that's what first came to my mind as far as like, sending them things, keeping them excited. What are some of your thoughts and ideas?
Video's great. Any stories are great. I'm going to tell you that one of the things that I have found is that we don't really utilize video, and it's so easy to do it, right? It's so easy to record yourself sending out a video every week and say, hey, Jill, we're so excited to have you. I know we talked last week. Instead of just sending a boring email, record yourself, tell them excited, maybe tell them a story, say, hey, I had this, and make it, 2 to 3 minute video, not anymore. Tell them a quick story about one of your favorite students that you've known in the past that had a similar scenario. So when we created those videos, we created about 10 videos, because the same 10 stories in our industry, right? We talk about single mom, we talk about recently divorced, recently married, recently had a kid, recently hates their job, wanting a job change. Those stories, there's the circuit. We see the same thing over and over. So in your email or contact with them, create a little video and say, oh, by the way, I know we were talking on the phone, you were talking about how much you hated your career. Well, I remember there was a woman named Emily, and she did the same thing. She was in our school a couple of years back. She hated her job. She came over and she went to school, and now she's doing this, and this, and she's loving it. So I'm so excited for you to sort of follow in her footsteps and blah, 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 blah. Don't make it up. I don't want you to lie. Come up with real stories. Go look back at your notes, look back at the people, find stories. That's one example of something that's just silly. It takes 2-3 minutes, easy to do. Make them reconnect with their passion. Easy, done.
Okay. So, I mean, that's obviously going to take some time if I'm an admissions person, quickly recording a video, but those little things is really what helps you in the long run for sure. I mean, we're in the age of digital automation. Some ideas could be is like, look, if you haven't addressed every single concern, like with a blog, piece of content on your website or anything like that, like, you're crazy. You should have content for days answering people's concerns on your website. Send them a link, give them a highlight. Don't just say, hey, go here, it's going to address this. Say, hey, here's a link for more information on this that we talked about. But what I really like from it is, and you can quote it. You can also, with different CRMs and marketing automation tools, you can plug them into a nurture campaign, where if they're a prospective lead and they have this issue, you throw them into this funnel, and they'll receive emails automatically addressing their concerns. You don't even have to think about it. And so there are ways that we can automate nurturing leads. There are many different CRMs out there. What I have noticed in the world of schools and CRMs is these schools have very powerful tools, these CRMs, but they're not using them. Because again, it does take time to really use them, but spend the time, put in the work up front, create these funnels, create these nurture campaigns, these automations, these workflows, so that, or sequences, whatever your CRM calls it, and get them set up for yourself. It's going to make your job as an admissions rep so much easier. And if you don't know how to do it, obviously talk to your marketing agency. They should know how to use these automation tools in a CRM. So like for Oozle Media, I mean, a lot of our emails and things that go out automatically, I mean, it's our sales representatives, they have a phone call, and right after the phone call, an email is automatically sent saying, hey, here's what we talked about. And it sends them helpful links and information. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of good things that you can do. So we're approaching the hour mark. I don't want to go over an hour. This has been really good. We have about 7 minutes left. We're down to 88 people who are watching.
Yeah, I blame that on you. They were sticking around for me. I think I probably said too much, and they were like, all right, that's it. This guy's, I'm out.
Okay, so we do have something else. So it says we have an entrance exam that needs to be taken in person.
Says who? Right, so it needs to be taken in person. Who?
So Christine, so says who?
Right,
it needs to be taken in person, says who?
And while we're waiting for you to respond, I'm going to tell you, you should challenge everything now. Everything changed. So like, challenge everything. All of the things that you thought you knew before this whole pandemic, challenge everything. So if that's something that you say, oh, it's a compliance thing, she's saying compliance. So if it is a compliance issue, I've never heard that. You know what I've found about compliance is often false doctrine gets perpetuated, right? It's created, and then one person says that we can't do that, and then they tell 10 people, and before you know it, no one can do that. There was a time where you couldn't take payments via credit card. I had 2 schools tell me, you can't take credit cards, that's illegal. What? And that's not true. So I would challenge that, Christine, to make sure that is actually non-compliant. Because I don't.
Well, so questions are from other schools saying, well, why can't that be done through Zoom? And then a response is there is an option to have online testing, which costs more. So look at the opportunity costs there, right? Like if nobody's going to come in person, but if it costs more, but you're going to lose that enrollment, what actually costs more? Missing out on that enrollment.
right? Or try to figure a work around it, right? If there's a way that you can email it to them, they can print it out, fill it out, and then take a picture of it and send it to you. If that's okay, then make sure to figure out if it's okay, but challenge everything. I'm not telling you to break rules. I'm saying if you think something's not compliant, challenge it. Make a list, hand it into your directors and owners, and challenge everything that you thought you can't do. Now see if you can do it, because things have changed.
She's going to challenge it. Good,
yeah. Good. See, look at that. She said, I will challenge it. I would like some exclamation points there, but I still like what you did.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna sign off. This has been really good. I want to thank Rob Thatcher for being with us again. There's the exclamation points. You got 3 of them, Rob. So to get a hold of Rob's email, rob@salescom.com. What's your phone number, Rob?
801-979-0071. Shoot me a text, give me a call. That's my cell phone. You can call me anytime that you need. If it's 3 a.m, I'm watching Tiger and I don't have time to answer you, I'll call you back in the morning when I wake up. Seriously, just reach out to me. I want to help, especially when everybody's struggling so much. Let's get rid of the fear and stand up straight and move forward, for heaven's sakes. Yeah, good. Well, I think this has been really good. We're going to do one again, probably not next week, maybe a week after. Like, we want this to be a community of admissions people getting together, sharing good insight. Let's help each other. We will do our best to provide as much information as we can. If you have thoughts or ideas, email Rob, email myself. I'm going to put my email in here. I love all the exclamation points coming in. This is awesome. Yes, I love it. And by the way, while he's typing that, I know there's only 74 people left. People are leaving. One last request. Anybody that has video of a virtual tour, you should be recording your virtual tours. Oh, but Rob, there's privacy. Shut up. I did it again. Sorry. I won't do it again. All right. I probably will. But listen, I want you to record it. I want to hear it. I want to see it. If you really want my help, I want you to go take your time to record the phone calls, record the video tours, the virtual tours. I want to see all of it. I can really help you if you do that. But if you don't do it, we'll just guess what people said. Okay. All right. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk again soon. Be positive. Stay safe. Stay onward and upward. Okay. Bye. See you guys.